So welcome to our channel Electronics on Wheel and thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, comment if you like the content of this channel. So as we are continuing with series where we are trying to understand the wiring diagram. So in that particular series we have covered till fuse box where we have seen the power distribution, how the main fuse box is there, how the ECU fuse box is there. However, we did not go into the deeper in technical terms, but we have taken the overview of the fuse box and ground strategy. So continuing to that, we are taking one system that is charging circuit. So we have taken the charging circuit of different companies, and we will see that what is the difference between. So this is first charging circuit which is from the Mahindra Bolero, and that is the pickup truck. It is very basic circuit where you will see that was I think it is very old circuit around 2012-13. They might have changed right now, but the basic function or basic essence of the charging circuit or system will remain same. So what is the purpose of charging circuit or charging system would say? So charging system, the two things it does. The first, it charges the battery, and second, it gives the power supply to the accessories. So when you have your vehicle, you might be having two cases. So for the case first, when engine is on, okay, when engine is on, then your alternator will be working, right? So in this case, what alternator does, it gives the charge or current to the battery, and it gives the current to all the accessories as well. If you see the fuse box distribution, in that you will come to know. So in case first, when engine is on, alternator is on, then it will provide the power supply to the battery plus accessories, right? But when your engine is off, let me erase it. So case 2 is engine is off, right? Then alternator definitely will be off, because alternator is nothing but which is running by engine rotation, right? It is connected with the engine only. And once it is like a generator, engine is running, then alternator is running, and then it is generating the power supply. So when engine is off, alternator is off, then who is the source of power supply? That is battery. So battery will provide the supply to accessories and to start your engine or any other functions, right? This battery is only the source of the power, right? But battery cannot give the charge to indefinite time, right? Because it will be having some time like 2 hours it can give, or 1 hours it can give. Okay, it depends on the battery capacity. So these are the two cases when you are running your vehicle. So what is the function of charging system? Charging system will work when engine is on, alternator will be on, it will provide the uh, power supply to the accessories, and plus it will provide the power supply to battery to charge it. So this is the function of charging system. I am telling you very basic thing. We will go in the detail how it decided and what are the things are involved in that. These things we will take later, but as of now you just understand this is the basic function. All right, let me erase it. So we will start with this. So I think now you will not be having this confusion. What is E3? What is why we have shown like battery like this? So you will be aware, because if you have covered the previous chapters, so there we have discussed about each and everything in detail. What is E3? What is maxi fuse? Right. So the first thing, we will start from the battery. That is your 12-volt battery. Then we will be having the maxi fuse. Maxi fuse is nothing but the primary fuse, which is might be battery mounted or other. Then we will be having this connection to the alternator. So if you see this connection to the alternator, this is through the splice. So sometimes few OEMs use the splice, but few OEMs will not use the splice. They will take directly from the fuse box. One fuse box will be dedicated for this purpose, for the ignition switch. Okay, but here they have used the splice. So same connection is going to ignition switch. Then we have the different position. of accessory ignition start. Then these are the different terminals. I already told you that how these terminals naming or nomenclature has been given. Then we will we are going to this particular fuse, that is 10 amps of fuse, and it is going to battery mill. What is this we will see, and then it is going to interconnector, and then again it is going to alternator. So first thing we will try to understand here, what is this particular fuse, why it is used. Okay, so this is a 10 amps fuse. So 10 amps fuse is not used for the alternator. Okay, this particular fuse is used for the battery and mill. What is this battery and mill? So in cluster you might have seen this particular symbol many times. So this particular symbol comes from this particular connections. Okay, so if this connection is given, then this particular symbol or telltale we say in the technical term or in the development terms. So this is called telltale in the cluster. Okay, so it comes on the cluster because of this connection. So what it does tell, because it has the connection with the alternator. So if alternator is charging your battery, then it gives the symbol. Sorry, it doesn't give the symbol, any symbol. It won't be in cluster. But if it is not charging, then in the cluster you will get this type of symbol. So I hope you understood this particular connection. What is the purpose of this connection and why we have given the 10 amps of fuse. So 10 amps of fuse is given for the cluster, instrument cluster. Okay, because to show this particular signal. What is the purpose of this connection? So this particular connection, as you can see, this is a battery positive. So this particular connection is responsible to charge your battery like this. Okay, so I hope you have understand the alternator terminals, what is the function. So this is very basic alternator. I will tell you some of the alternators which are very advanced, and it is I think very basic circuit which I have seen across the OEM. We have inside this main diode, stator, then aux diode. All these things we will try to understand when we will, tear down the alternator, or we will discuss about the alternator as a component. If you see here, this is the rating of this particular alternator, that is 50 amps, and then inside itself it has the fuse to protect from the short circuit and other things. So this is the basic function. Even if you see the voltage regulator inside this alternator, what is the function of voltage regulator? So basically what it does, it checks the alternator voltage. If your alternator voltage is less than 14.2, so if someone is asked you in the interview what is the alternator voltage, so it is always 14.2. So it can vary from 14, some can say 14, and but you can say 14.2 volt is the alternator voltage. It can vary from 14 to 14.2 or 14.3, but standard is 14.2. If it is less than, then voltage regulator, what it does, it switches the rotor magnetic field on and it start the charging. If it is below, then if it is over the 14.2, then what it does, it switch the rotor magnetic field off, so that alternator should not work on that time, because we do not require in that case. So this is the voltage uh, purpose of or how the voltage regulator works inside the alternator. We will understand when we will go in the detail of the alternator. But as of now, you just understand what the alternator or charging system is doing. Now we will see the charging circuit of other OEM. So this is the one charging circuit which is from Hyundai Tucson. So if you see here, the concept will remain same. This is your body ground. From here we are going. This is battery negative. This is battery negative. Then you have this battery positive, and this is the alternator fuse of 150 amps. Then see, if you see here, the alternator fuse was 60 amps, right? But here it is different 150 amps. So definitely the alternator rating here will be different. I hope you understand why we are using here 150 amps of fuse. Then again, I told you one more thing, that uh, they were on the Mahindra, they were using this particular thing from the splice, and then they are going to the cluster and all those things. But if you see here, we are taking a different one particular wire, and then it is going to battery sensor. So this is the new component if you compare with the other the previous circuit. So battery sensor was not there, right? So we will understand what is the function of battery sensor, and then we will see. Then you have the PCM or ECM, which is used to calculate or judge the to take the decision whether we have to ask to alternator to charge the battery or not. So here we will try to understand the function. So the first thing, here start from here, battery sensor. So battery sensor basically calculate or judge the charging or discharging of the battery. Once it calculate or monitors this thing, then the signal goes to BCM or PCM and ECM. Okay, this particular issue. Then this ECM or PCM will decide or calculate how much voltage is required for this particular to charge the battery. Okay, in that case, it sends the signal to the alternator. Okay, and alternator then will start the battery charging through this particular wire. Okay, so this is how it happened. Suppose alternator is not working, then as I told you the earlier also, the cluster should be shown, the particular symbol or telltale should be shown in the cluster. So suppose if your alternator is not working or battery is not charging, then this particular symbol will be shown in the cluster. So I hope you understand what is the difference between this one and this one. Here you do not have any monitoring. Okay, it is directly continuously working. But here you have the battery sensor, which is intelligent in terms of taking care of your battery, whether battery required the charging or not. If it is required, then only it will send the signal to the alternator. Okay, you start the charging of battery. And if your alternator is not working and battery is not charging, then the symbol will come on an instrument cluster. I hope you understand this particular concept. We will go one by one in detail, why we are taking here 25, why we are taking 20B, why we are taking here 0.5. These are the wire cross section. We will see all these things. But as of now, as a working, you just try to understand how it is working. Then we will see the third circuit, that is charging circuit of Nissan Micro. So if you see here, we have two things. One is battery supply and other one is the ignition switch or on or start. So what does it mean? So there are three types of supply. One is battery, ignition switch, then accessories. Okay. So here we have shown only two supply. So battery, it is all time hot. So suppose if you have given the connection from battery, it will be all time on. But ignition switch on or start supply will be on only when you put your vehicle key in the ignition switch on or start position. Then only this supply will start. Okay, I hope you understand. Then we have something IPDM. IPDM is a new concept here, that is intelligent power distribution module. So here what exactly it does? So it is a kind of CPU, you can say microcontroller. So it takes the decision of power distribution, and it is all about printed circuit board, where it takes the decision based on the requirement of the components or loads. So if you see here, battery sensor is there. Battery sensor, here also they have gone one step further. Battery sensor plus temperature sensor, this is. Then they are communicating through the cans to the combination meter, and to the ECM also through the combination meter, sorry, through the can, through the between IPDM to ECM, they are communicating through the can, and the same they are communicating through the can to the combination meter. And then this alternator will have one connection to the ECM. ECM is nothing but the engine control module. So you can see here, see, So these strategy might be different, but the objective of charging system will remain same. So if you see from Mahindra Bolero, they have just given a simple circuit which has its own pros and cons. We will discuss later those things, because you can see all the time it is charging alternator to the battery and battery life will be affected. That is different thing. And if you see, they have introduced battery sensor, then ECM, then alternator, and all these instrument cluster, and they have different uh, data transmission if you see here. But if you see the Nissan Micra, they are just going through one more component, that is IPDM, that is intelligent power distribution module, and they are communicating all the data through the CAN lines to the battery sensor, to the combination meter, to the ECM. So this is how they are communicating with each other components, but the concept will remain same, that alternator or charging system purpose is to charge the battery plus giving the supply to the accessories. We will see little bit about these components. So if you see, this is the one component, that is your alternator will be placed here. Then you will be having your IPDM, intelligent power distribution. Then this one will be your battery current sensor. So battery current sensor will always be on the negative terminal of your battery, which will tell about the charging condition of the battery. Then you have this fourth one, that is our ECM. So we will see what exactly the alternator is doing. So alternator is nothing. Basically, it provides your DC voltage to operate the vehicle electrical system to keep the battery charged. So two functions are there: to operate the vehicle electric system plus to keep the battery charged. Then IPDM is intelligent power distribution module, which sends the alternator voltage request signal to ECM via CAN communication. Then battery current sensor with temperature sensor, basically it gives the uh, surrounding temperature, charging and discharging condition of the battery. So battery current sensor with temperature is installed on the battery negative terminal. Then sensor measures the charging and discharging of the battery. Okay. Then what is the function of ECM? Basically, ECM decide or transmit the received alternator voltage request signal to alternator via lin communication. Okay, we will understand this through this particular diagram, where I will explain you again, because the language is totally different what I have written there. Battery temperature sensor is integrated in battery current sensor, measures the temperature around the battery, and this is a thermistor which decreases, that resistance of the thermistor decreases as temperature increases. So if you see on 25 degrees centigrade, that is 1.9. If you see on 90 degrees centigrade, that is 0.22. So this is how it varies. Now we will understand the workflow of this. So first, what it happens, battery current sensor basically check out the condition of the battery. What is the condition? Wet charging and discharging condition it tells. Okay. Plus temperature around the battery. This is the function of battery current sensor. Then this particular signal goes to IPDM. It tells to IPDM that this is the condition of battery. Battery is discharged by this 80% of SOC, or 70% of SOC, or 90% of SOC. Then IPDM, intelligent power distribution module, takes the decision based on the input, and it sends the signal to the ECM, okay, through the CAN communication. Then ECM send the signal to the alternator that, boss, battery is discharged, can you please start the charging? Then alternator will charge based on the signal, that how much voltage is required to the battery, so that battery life can be integrated, can be saved. As you know, if you are continuously charging the battery, you know that battery life will be decreased. I hope you understand the full concept, how the Nissan Micra is working on the charging system. If you see the next slide, this is nothing but the same what I have told you earlier. So battery current sensor with temperature sensor with charging and discharging current of the battery and temperature around the battery. Then IPDM just the battery condition according to the charging and discharging current of the battery and temperature. Then what IPDM calculates the target power, how much power need to be generated by the alternator, and it sends the calculated value to the alternator voltage request via CAN communication to ECM. Then what does ECM does? ECM transmit the same signal to alternator voltage to you know to charge the battery to alternator via the LIN communication. And then control module inside the alternator control the power generation on the received alternator voltage request signal. So this is the overall working of the alternator. So alternator has the self diagnosis function also, which you might have seen DTC, uh, trouble code, right? So those trouble code will be happen only when you have that particular facility inside that particular component. So alternate include that self diagnosis function and transmits the diagnosis result to the ECM via LIN communication when any malfunction is detected. And this type of charging warning lamp will come on the cluster if it is not working. So if you see the circuit of this, so this alternator will send the signal through the LIN. This is LIN communication and to ECM, and then ECM sent to cluster combination meter. They call it combination. See, terminology might be different, but the concept will remain same. In combination meter, this is the symbol will come, the same symbol which we have shown. So they are saying combination meter cluster, someone is saying instrument panel. So this is the overall understanding of charging circuit. In next class, we will take all the components one by one and we'll try to understand in deep how actually they are working as a why we are using the fusible link of 450 amps, why we are using the this much of wire CSA. You might have seen 20 b. Then let me erase, right? Why we are using, what is this, already I have told you this is color, then this is the pin numbers, then why we are using 7.5 here, what is this smart function junction box, then instrument cluster, this is the uh, you know symbol or telltale which is going to. So we will try to understand in the deep in the next class. If you like the content of this video, please like, subscribe and comment. Thank you for your time.